right now on 5 on your side at 10.
A hidden danger leads to a holiday scare.
I spent 2 hours outside of the waiting room thinking that my daughter wasn't going to come out of surgery.
Tonight, a Missouri family's warning to other parents.
A quiet finish to 2024, but 2025 has this storm in store. Why we look to Russia and Alaska for our next storm system and the major impacts it has on our weather this weekend.
Our top story, phones down.
If we see them with that phone in their hand, that is a violation.
Police in the Show Me State now ready to show you the fines. We want to thank you for joining us at 10 tonight. I'm Brent Solomon. Mike and Kelly have the night off. Missouri drivers have had ample warning about the new hands-free law. Now the new year will bring new enforcement. 5 on your side's Laura Bachewski speaking with the Missouri State Highway Patrol and a family who advocated for the change. Laura.
Brent, the law went into effect in August of 2023. State troopers gave out more than 1,500 warnings in an effort to prepare drivers for the change, and now it's finally time to make it. Adrienne Siddons says her life changed forever when an unlicensed, uninsured driver decided to pick up her phone for a video chat while behind the wheel, hitting and severely injuring her husband Randall while picking up cones for a triathlon.
She swerved and actually almost hit the police car. Swerved around the police car and then ended up hitting Randall, knocking down his coworker and crashing into the back of their truck.
He later died because of it. That's when she decided to be part of the team working to put an enhanced distracted driving law in place. It took years, but they made it. Her story helped.
Telling people how earth-shattering something as simple as checking a text can be, video chatting, all of that just kind of makes people stop and think that, okay, when they do go to pick up their phone, they think about Randall.
The Siddons-Benning hands-free law can now be enforced in Missouri. Corporal Dallas Thompson with the Highway Patrol says it's now illegal to have your phone in your hand while driving, even when stopped at a stoplight. But it's a secondary violation.
That is challenging at times because a lot of times we might see someone that's on the phone as they pass by us, and you can tell that they're scrolling or texting or typing. And, so we kind of watch and observe. And if we're not seeing that traffic violation where they're weaving or doing anything else, we can't just stop and talk to them about that.
Adrienne and Thompson don't want a similar tragedy to happen to anyone else and hope people think twice.
Once you hear the phone go off, to grab it, look down at it, and read it, that takes you a good 4 seconds. So you've traveled the length of a football field in that amount of time driving at 55 miles per hour. And bad things can happen very quickly in 4 seconds.
I hope that if they've heard my story, they've heard Randall's story, that would be just a voice in the back of their head that's just reminding them to put their phone down.
Again, enforcement begins on January 1st, and the Highway Patrol will be doing a hands-free enforcement project on the 2nd on Interstate 55 in Jefferson County. Brent?
Great information to know. Thank you, Laura. We're following a developing story. A driver hits and kills a pedestrian on Manchester Road. That accident happened around 7:30 tonight. It shut down the busy intersection of Manchester and Sappington Roads, right on the border of Glendale and Warson Woods. And just minutes ago, we put another call into police for more information. We'll let you know when we hear back. Turning now to your weather impact forecast. Rain is moving through the bi-state tonight, ushering in a return to winter weather to ring in the new year. Meteorologist Gary Frank joins us, and Gary, snow flurries are not out of the question for New Year's Eve.
Not out of the question, just conversational. That's not the big story, the big talking point that we've had, where we've got more significant winter weather in the cards for the next few days. However, this is all liquid right now. It's going to stay that way. No surprise here. You can see the big picture shows that there is snow off to the northwest. It will not really make it, but that may be responsible for dragging a few flurries in. Right now, we're dealing with some moderate rainfall that's setting up mainly north of I-70. Troy, Bowling Green, you're getting more of a steady rain, and then Alton as well. Not so much in the Metro East right now. You'll see that Arnold and Festus here. Litchfield, we're seeing a little bit of rain, but that's what we're going to continue to monitor as far as Wildwood, Pacific, High Ridge, Cedar Hill. You're getting a little bit more rain on the Missouri side at this moment, and I think that's going to be the trend here eventually as we see that drag off to the southeast. Temps in the mid-40s, like I said, no danger of changing much more than that, and you'll watch how this rain continues to push out over the next several hours. But eventually, I do expect that by tomorrow morning, rain generally tapers off, but our temps hold pretty steady, but then it gets colder. And the winter returns this weekend with more rain and wind. And the wind is going to shift tomorrow, bringing it cold by New Year's Eve. And then we're talking next level cold as we look to the weekend and track our next wintry precipitation. We have 2 weather impact alert days. We'll highlight that here shortly, Brent.
What goes up has to come down. And sometimes it can have severe consequences.
St. Louis police sending out a warning against celebratory gunfire on New Year's Eve. They say firing weapons in the air is not only illegal, it's also dangerous. Their Fun Without Guns detail will include additional patrols to respond to these calls. A new state and city law stiffens the penalties for violators. Tonight, a 7-year-old girl from Southwest Missouri is recovering at St. Louis Children's Hospital. New at 10, Robert Townsend reports she suffered a holiday scare after accidentally swallowing a button battery.
On Christmas Eve, Layton Diaz, her 5 siblings, and their parents were excited to gather at their home in Aurora, southwest of Springfield. But within moments of the celebration, Layton experienced a sudden scare.
She had ran to the bathroom really quick to use the restroom, and in the time that she was in the restroom, she put the battery in her mouth.
The frightened first grader accidentally swallowed a quarter-sized button battery. It was for a watch Layton's grandmother gave her for her birthday in September. Layton was born with an underdeveloped esophagus.
She came out instantly screaming, crying, saying that it was hurting.
Her parents first rushed her to an Aurora hospital.
It's a small hospital. They don't have the things that they need to do it there. It was absolutely terrifying.
What's more, there wasn't any medical transportation available at the time, so the couple then hopped in their car with their daughter and drove 4 hours to St. Louis Children's Hospital. The button battery was lodged inside Layton for 7 hours. Doctors here at St. Louis Children's Hospital immediately performed a procedure on Layton. As you can imagine, her worried parents were so thrilled to hear that procedure went well.
I think that we're going to have a good prognosis. My thing is I just want other parents to know about this.
Button batteries are found in light-up Christmas toys and greeting cards. Doctors say every year more than 3,000 children nationwide accidentally swallow them. If that happens to your child, you should notify your pediatrician and immediately get to the emergency room. Doctors say the sooner the battery is removed, the less likely it will cause severe damage.
We just want her better.
Layton's grateful parents now call her their Christmas miracle.
I'm hoping that, Layton just finally, her esophagus heals and we get to go home.
Robert Townsend, 5 on your side.
And Diaz says doctors are keeping a close eye on battery fragments still inside of her daughter. They hope Layton can leave the hospital in a couple of weeks. Tonight, a grandfather and his young grandson are recovering after a car hit them while leaving the garden glow at the Missouri Botanical Garden last night. The grandfather remains in critical condition, but both are expected to pull through. A nearby business owner says speeding is out of control at that intersection of Shaw and Vandeventer.
I just noticed that it's like NASCAR speedway and people drive entirely too fast. It's also not accommodating for people that are walkers.
The driver stayed on scene. Police say he stopped to let others cross, but did not see the man and the boy. This week, President Joe Biden signed the Stop Campus Hazing Act to combat hazing on college campuses all across the country. The new federal law stems from an incident at the University of Missouri in Columbia. Danny Santilli of Minnesota suffered severe injuries from alcohol poisoning during a party at the Phi Gamma Delta fraternity house in 2021. The freshman was left unable to walk, talk, or see. His parents helped fight for the law.
My son, Danny, did survive. We've met a lot of parents in our same situation where they've lost their son, and it's unbearable to go through this, but Danny keeps us going every day.
That new law requires colleges to include hazing incidents in their annual security report. It also creates campus-wide hazing prevention programs. Time is running out for Missouri residents to pay those personal property taxes. The deadline is tomorrow to pay the 2024 taxes owed on property like vehicles, boats, farm equipment, and even livestock. You can pay online, by phone, or in person. Mailed payments have to be postmarked by tomorrow. For much more information on how to pay and how much you owe, go to your County Collector of Revenue's website. Well, as the new year approaches, one resolution might be getting your affairs in order. And this includes preparing legal documents to make it easier for your family. Tonight, Ann Allred from our Verify team looks into one you can prepare free of charge.
When you pass away, your family will have to make some important decisions. One of those is who inherits your property. Katie from West St. Louis County asked the Verify team, is it true the St. Louis County government will help homeowners set up a beneficiary deed for free? Let's verify. Our sources, Gerald Smith, Recorder of Deeds for St. Louis County, and John Gunn, the Gunn Law Firm. First off, what is a beneficiary deed? It's a legal document that lets you name someone to inherit your property after you die. Why do you need one?
Well, if you die without having one, then what you run into is an issue where you have to have the courts decide who you want your property to transfer to.
That's also known as probate court, which Smith says can cost you about 10% of what the house is worth. With a beneficiary deed, the beneficiary immediately takes over and can make sure to avoid a potential foreclosure.
After they die, whoever's inheriting that property can then communicate with the mortgage lender and try to renegotiate the loan or refinance it or sell the property and get the loan paid off. But it does make that process way easier and faster.
St. Louis County launched the Homeowner Support Referral Program this year for residents. If you make less than $55,000 a year, the county will put you in touch with pro bono lawyers to get a beneficiary deed in place. Everything's free except a one-time cost of $27 to file the document with the Recorder of Deeds.
Beneficiary deeds are great documents, and especially when for families like a lot of your viewers who maybe don't have a whole lot other than the house. And the house could have its tremendous amount of equity in it.
We can verify, yes, the St. Louis County government will help homeowners who make less than $55,000 a year set up a beneficiary deed for free. Once the deed is complete, there is a $27 recording fee to file the document with St. Louis County. I'm Ann Allred, 5 on your side.
And for more information on how to enroll in that program, call the Recorder of Deeds office at 314-615-7100. What can we verify for you? All you got to do is email us at verify@ksdk.com.
Saving money on your drive in 2025. Tonight, we're navigating how to get more miles out of your tank of gas.
Blues and me are on the ice here at Wrigley Field ahead of the Winter Classic in Chicago, coming up in sports.
As we are just hours away from 2025, we're looking ahead to a big change to start off the month. Our next weather impact alert days and perhaps multiple ones for the first 2 weeks of the month. The major changes in store for us coming up.
Tributes continue tonight for former President Jimmy Carter. He died yesterday at the age of 100. Tonight we're learning more about the funeral plans for America's longest living president. They will begin Saturday with services at his family farm in Plains, Georgia, and at the Georgia State Capitol. He will lie in repose at the Carter Presidential Center in Atlanta until January 7th. A procession will then bring him to the U.S. Capitol, where he'll lie in state until January 9th. That's when a state funeral will be held. President Joe Biden has declared that day as a national day of mourning. A private burial will take place later that day at the Carter family home in Georgia. Well, the new year is expected to bring a drop at the gas pump. Gas Buddy predicting the national average for regular unleaded will fall to $3.22 a gallon. That's about 10 cents less than in 2024. The typical household is expected to spend about $2,200 filling up their tanks over the next 12 months. Well, tonight, Consumer Reports has smart and easy tips for squeezing every last mile from a gallon of gas. Here's Mike Bush.
We can't control the price of gasoline, but we can control the type we buy and how we use it. Consumer Reports says buy good quality gas and recommends using top-tier gas. Top tier is a higher standard that brands including Chevron, Costco, Exxon, Mobil, and Shell offer. Participating brands will have a top-tier sticker on their pumps. Save money and skip premium gas unless a higher octane is required for your model.
For both convenience and safety, keep at least half a tank of fuel during cold winter months when there's a risk of shortages, like when a major storm is imminent. This also goes for holiday road trips when roads can be congested and slow moving.
Check tire pressure. Pressure drops as temperatures drop. Lower pressure than recommended on your door jamb sticker can affect safety, tire longevity, and even fuel economy. And here's a heads up on eco mode. Consumer Reports experts are underwhelmed with the feature. It's not a magic button.
We found no fuel economy benefit using eco mode for city and highway driving. Its true ability is to encourage frugal driving behavior.
Drive evenly. Avoid hard acceleration and braking whenever possible. Pay attention to aerodynamics. Remove roof racks when they're not being used. Finally, check gas prices online. Apps and websites such as Gas Buddy show local gas prices, making it easy to find prices in your area or if you need to travel. Gas stations off major highways and away from city centers, as well as warehouse stores and travel centers, tend to have better prices. For Consumer Reports, Mike Bush, 5 on your side.
And Scott is off tonight, but meteorologist Gary Fring joins us now with your weather impact forecast.
Yeah, it'll be a soggy one for our drive home, but safe as we continue to see that rain settle in. You'll notice that from the northwest here, it's all part of this low, which is spinning in that counterclockwise motion, dragging some colder air in, but we're also going to see the wind pick up into the overnight hours. So heads up, if you're a light sleeper, you'll probably wake up in the middle of the night and hear the wind. That's what it is. Now let's focus on some of the heavier rain right now. And you're starting to see that from Troy, Bowling Green, Eolia, Pike County, areas to the north. And that's where I think we're going to see most of that, as that's the favorable part of the storm for that. But as it continues to spin, it's going to be with us for the most part throughout the night. In fact, it's 37 degrees on the other side of the state. So 50 here, 30s to the north. Look to these numbers right here. That's what I think is going to be what you feel on New Year's Eve night. So as we start to drag that in, it'll take some time, but expect over the next several hours, you'll watch these numbers start to come down. By tomorrow morning, it's a different change. I don't think there's much precipitation, but we may see a flake in even by the evening. Watch our temperatures fall. Cloud cover and wind is with us. Like I said, the main story tomorrow, look at the wind. We've got gusts upwards of 40 miles an hour, and I think that's going to be a windy start to your morning. Things will gradually taper off as we get closer to New Year's Eve, but it's a raw day and a raw feeling day, especially in comparison to the last 8 to 9 days. Temps in the low 40s here as we see most of that precipitation end and our wind settles down. Look at this really cold air, 15 to 25 below zero. As we look to the south, look at that direct conduit where the wind is blowing, and that's where we're going to see over the next few days. But our next storm system to kind of ride that pipeline and grab some of that cold air and bring it down is all the way near Russia and Alaska. And as a result, it's going to be a minute before it gets here. And where does it get here and how does it impact us? And I think as we look toward the weekend, that's what this dip is. You'll see from Billings and Rapid City, and watch this thing go further south. Where does that go? If this is further south, we get more snow. It's further north, we get into that mixed bag of things. Right now, I think cold air is in play, but you know, for the most part, there's still a big spread in our storm position at this point, and our timing. I think we can whittle it down to January 5th or 6th, but it's still uncertain, and so there's still some changes. And if you see somebody telling you totals of ice, snow, or sleet, they don't know what they're talking about at all. We're not to that point yet, so just don't listen to that. But it is Sunday and Monday, our next weather impact alert days. We have all types of wintry weather possible, and there are going to be travel issues somewhere in the region with measurable precipitation. We're going to fine-tune that over the next few days, prepare for longer commutes and loss of traction somewhere. And I think that we're going to be impacted by something here as we go from 43 to 39, and then a few flurries on Thursday, maybe a few more snow showers to the north, but then it gets colder by the weekend. And believe it or not, Brent, even as we highlight those 2 days on Sunday and Monday, probably going to have more red days by next week, because I think we may struggle to get to 15 for a high.
Oh, boy.
Some actual cold stuff, which I know you're a big fan of.
Said no one ever.
Well, there's going to be some people that are actually looking forward to it.
Yeah, they are. They can enjoy it, too. All right, Annie's sitting by with sports.
Thanks, guys. Our Corey Miller was at Wrigley Field all day today talking to Blackhawks players from St. Louis and hearing from Blues head coach Jim Montgomery about the strategy heading into tomorrow's Winter Classic. Plus, Mizzou won their bowl game. How they did it, coming up.
This 5 on Your Side Sports Report is sponsored by Telly Tire and Auto Centers, driving your way since 1942.
The Windy City will hopefully help the Blues whistle a different tune after falling to Buffalo last night 4-2 at Enterprise. Historic Wrigley Field is now a state-of-the-art hockey rink for tomorrow's matchup against the Blackhawks. Our Corey Miller is there at the Winter Classic, hearing what it means to a St. Louis Stanley Cup legend to be on the ice.
Wrigley Field is home to plenty of St. Louis versus Chicago sports memories. Some brand new ones will be made on the ice here tomorrow at the Winter Classic. And the Blues and Blackhawks are ready for the latest chapter in their historic rivalry.
I mean, I got my first taste of it when, I got drafted to St. Louis and Chicago, and you get booed walking up to the stage.
And the best story I remember is I might have been sixth game in my career, and my line mates were Baz McCray and Kelly Chase, and they wouldn't sit still on the bench. And I thought I was a 6-game vet now, and I'm like, why are you guys so nervous? And they said, because when we step out, we got to fight. You don't. You got to pick up our gloves. And that, to me, that hit home right there about how serious the Blues-Blackhawks rivalry was.
I told my buddies and friends, if you ever want to come to a game, you can't root for the St. Louis Blues, or I won't leave you a ticket. So, so whoever I left the ticket for, you can't wear anything St. Louis. That's my rule.
It's cool. You're just outside, and just the fresh air and the brisk air, and it's been a lot of fun since we got here this morning, checking the place out. It's just, you can see the guys are a little looser, a little goofier, and we've been having fun.
In a sense, getting to know people around the players, whether it's wives, girlfriends, moms, dads, whoever they bring, right? You get to know those people. You just kind of see them in the hotel and being on the road and stuff like that. I think it brings us closer as far as a family dynamic or organizational dynamic for sure.
It's the first time you're ever going to experience some of these things that you don't. The music plays, it's louder. You feel like you're part of a rock concert. While the game's going, a goal is scored, you feel like you're in a Super Bowl. So this is just a terrific event.
Thankfully, temperatures won't be in the negatives like the last time the Blues played in a Winter Classic up in Minnesota. However, there could be some rain in that Chicago New Year's Eve forecast that the teams will have to dodge. Reporting from Chicago, I'm Corey Miller, 5 on Your Side Sports.
And what a roller coaster this afternoon for Mizzou's Music City Bowl. Brady Cook said he went to Nashville wanting to solidify his legacy as a winner. That's exactly what the quarterback did as the Tigers beat Iowa 27-24. In the first quarter, the Chaminade grad settles into the pocket right here, and he's going to find a wide open Marquise Johnson in the back corner. That's going to be good for 6. Then this game would come down to the freshman foot of Blake Craig. Mizzou down by 3 in the fourth. Craig lines up a 51-yard kick. That's good. This kid is already ready for the NFL, in my opinion. Mizzou ties it up at 24, but Iowa would eventually give up the lead they clutched almost the entire game because Craig ties it with a 56-yard field goal. That's his tying college career best. It's clean. Mizzou's defense would put this bowl game away with a big stop on 4th and 1 with just over a minute left. Mizzou runs out the clock as the timer on the Mizzou career of the Music City Bowl's MVP also comes to an end.
Back 2021, 2022, that's not fun, leaving the bowl site and going out with a loss. Not at all. You think about it for a long time. That sits with you for a long time, and I definitely didn't want that to be the case with my last game in a Tiger uniform.
The underclassmen, man, they now know what it looks like, but they owe it to them every single day to keep fighting for the legacy that these guys built.
And tonight, after a week of jam-packed basketball tournaments, DeSmet took on Marquette for the Coaches vs. Cancer tournament. Marquette's Kieran Burnett would have a heck of a game right there, floats one in. Then, not long after, bounces off of Jordan Boyd from DeSmet, and he gets another 2. But don't worry, Boyd would answer from behind the arc, helping the Spartans lock in a win. DeSmet claims the Coaches vs. Cancer title 61-50. And just going back to that little Chicago number with Corey, there's going to be, for anyone who's going out, there's going to be a free NHL pregame. There's going to have autograph opportunities. The Stanley Cup's going to be there. A couple photo opportunities.
A fan's delight, it
Come
sounds
on.
like.
If anyone's going up there, driving, flying, they have some options.
Yeah, they will. Annie, thank you for that. We've got much more still ahead for you, and that includes the big party, like it's 2025. The top ways Americans plan to ring in the new year. Well, we're now less than 26 hours away from ringing in 2025. And of course, they're getting ready for the big party in New York City. Tonight, the iconic Times Square Ball is gearing up for its big descent tomorrow night. And hours ago, workers held a test drop. The 12-foot ball is covered in 2,600 crystal triangles and 32,000 LED lights. An estimated 1 million revelers are expected to pack the crossroads of the world for the party. According to Wallet Hub, 67% of Americans say New Year's Eve is their favorite holiday. Another 36% don't plan to celebrate at all. A quarter of those surveyed say they plan to be asleep before midnight. And 50% plan to ring in the new year with a kiss. How about that? Whatever you do, though, you might want to be indoors, Gary.
Yeah, not so bad. It could be worse, and it's going to be worse the week after. But, you know, I think we're going to see the wind still make it feel a little chillier as we fall to 29 eventually overnight for the first time in a while. And maybe the last time we had freezing, and then, of course, we're up and down through the weekend and our next weather impact alert days. Sunday and Monday, we're tracking a potent winter system somewhere in the region I think is going to impact us in some regard. We're still looking at some of the latest trends, and I know Anthony's going to be in here starting at 4 a.m. with the latest update on this storm. So we're still watching it specifically, but it's definitely going to get our attention this weekend.
Yeah,
and maybe back
the
to school.
mild temperatures we've had, we've gotten kind of comfortable
Gone.
with it.
They're
We're
gone.
lucky.
Yeah, they're gone. All right, you've heard it. That's all of our time at 10, my friends. We hope you'll join us bright and early at 4 in the morning. Have a great night.